I'm pretty terrible at making videos of showing how to saw something, but I'm gonna show you how I saw post. A guy wanted some 8x8, 12 feet long post. What I do is I put this log on the mill. As you can tell, the butt's bigger than the top, so I had to jack my toe board up. I try to get it fairly level. That end was just a little bit lower, and it's okay for that end to be a little bit lower. I like it to be half an inch or so, maybe an inch lower. Let me cut this machine off right quick. I like for it to be a little lower. As you can tell right here, this is like an inch and a half from the top to the bottom right there. And then on this end, as you can tell, it's just bark pretty much. So I'm probably an inch, maybe an inch lower. It's got a bad taper right there. You can see it, the swell on it. I've learned, do not jack this up level, because if you do, when you cut down there and you cut to here, you'll be too short on your top end. Always let it be a little shorter, because that end has more wood and it'll work out way better. It'll let you cut more off down here, save some down here. The other thing I do is, all I'm looking for is to get a flat side. So I make 2 cuts. I make the top one, I drop an inch, I make another one. But you do that, rotate it, and then take you 2 more cuts off. Make sure your toe board is right. And then when you flip it the 3rd time, let that toe board down. Everything has to be leveled out. Then I'll slice it down. Say I'm cutting 8x8 right here. I will not hardly cut below 10 inches or 9 3/4, because I'll use pattern mode and it'll cut to 9 3/4 and all that. So it's just easier to keep everything square and even 1 inches and all that. But I'll do that, flip it, and I try to save that last inch, and then I'll have a 1/2 inch cut. And if I need it, like whenever I turn it right here, this is on small logs. Now, if I had a great big log, I would slice it down more than 2. But this, I'm talking about close stuff. Like that end down there is probably right around 12 inches. So I'm gonna turn it. Well, whenever I cut it this next time, it's gonna really make it, when you cut 2 inches off, it'll make it close to 10 inches. So it'll be 9 3/4 whenever you turn it. And then you turn it the 3rd time, I won't cut below 9 3/4 or so if I can help it. Then you just got to turn it and make sure you get your wane off. One more cut off. But I don't want to take it right now, because if I take one more cut, I may run out of log. You know, I may cut it too much and not need it. I can come back and cut a 1/2 inch. I can start cutting 1/2 inches instead of 1 inch. I'll do that if I got to. And if it happens to work out that way on this log, I'll do it. If not, oh well. But I'll be back in a few minutes. I just rotated it. See, I got a flat side there. This is what I was talking about. You have to watch this, because see, it's high here and the log is banana shaped, and it's high down here. It's too high for my liking. If I took that cut right there, say I cut 1 inch off there, I'll be able to cut 1 inch, 1.5 inches down here. And this is how my toe board was set up from the previous cut. But so I got to drop these toe boards. All right, a few minutes later, I got it knocked down. As you can tell, I cut 3 cuts this time. 1, 2, 3. The first one was right there. Then the second one played out about halfway to log, and the third one made it all the way down. This is not 8 inches right here. This is gonna be close to 6 inches, but I can knock this off, and like I can take and throw the scraps off. I can roll it, because now I got a flat side, and flip it over, cut this side, try to cut it down. Again, try not to cut below 9 3/4 if I can help it. Then I can always come back and visit this side and this side again. Another inch will pretty much knock out all that wane down through there. I could probably run one more inch, but I'd rather flip it, and if I need to run a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, I can do that. But once you cut it, you can't glue it back on. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but that's not what the customer's wanting. So do that. Remember, don't cut too much, roll it. Beams, posts, anything like that where they're wanting perfect square edges, cut less, flip the log more, and you'll be a whole lot safer. I'll be back when I get the other side cut. Oh yeah, one other thing, don't forget to let your toe boards down. All right, I'm back again. As you can tell, like I said, this is gonna be very, very tight to get an 8x8 out of. This is 9 3/4 from here to here. It's gonna be very, very tight. But I had to cut that. This last board here, as you can tell, following it down through here, it's still way up there. All right, I'll try to show you what I'm talking about. It's actually 9 inches from here to here, but we have this in here. And when you pull the tape on it, if you go up above it there, I'm about 1 3/4 inches or so. So if I knock this down a 1/2 inch, I should be close to having, it'll be about where my finger is. So I'd be about 1 inch left. And then if I knock some off of this side, I'll be getting close. All right, I got that cut. I'm just gonna come and shove it over. As you can tell, like I said, it cut down to about there. And now you want to measure wherever, like you look down your wane and sort of measure. Like, I wouldn't be doing all this if it wasn't for showing y'all, but I'd be done had it sawed. I'm sorry about pulling that up. See, I'm down to close to 3/4 of an inch. And I know if I cut close to 1 inch off right here, that'll be clean. So if all right, I got it cut again. This is cut to 9 3/4 right here. I sort of wish I'd have left this face at 9 3/4 after I got to cutting, because it cut out down here, as you can tell, perfect or whatever. It ended right there. And if I'd have done 9 3/4, that's all that would have been left. Well, they could live with it or cut it off or whatever they wanted to do. I wouldn't care, because if you get most of the log clean, it is what it is. And also, these people are paying a lot of money for this post. So I told them what it cost, and they was like, yeah, go for it. They was gonna need a bunch of them, but they was gonna get 2 to see how I cut and everything and the quality. So it is what it is. We're down here in central Mississippi. All the good white oak is, of course, everybody knows, is going for whiskey barrels in Tennessee. There's a man comes down and he buys all the white oak for like $120, $140 a ton or whatever. And then we're left with this with little knots. I mean, there ain't much I can do about it. It is what it is. I'm buying the stuff. I don't blame them. I'm paying $80 a ton for it, and they're paying $120, $140. I'd sell it to them too. But and I'm selling each of these posts for $112 a piece, because they're 12 feet long and he wants an 8x8. That is very hard to do. 9 feet is hard to get an 8x8 out of, especially with this, because all your big logs, big diameter, good logs, are going for whiskey staves. They don't want none of these knots or anything in it, so all that's rejected. So we get the crap, you know. But anyways, showing y'all, see, I have the wane on here, and I'm fixing to flip it over. I'm gonna clean it off, and I'm gonna knock this down to 8. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good at this sawing and videoing and not being able to keep everything straight in my head. I thought I'd cut to 8.5 or something. Whenever I went back there, I may have said in the video that it was 9, which it don't really matter. I needed to knock it off. But, you know, that's my opinion. That's not too much wane right there. All right, I got the second from last side finished. This was the first side I cut, I think it was the very first side. As you can tell, I got the wane cut off of this side. She's square. And that side, there's not any down through there. So I'm good to go. Now, what I'm gonna do is take and flip it 180 degrees. This side's gonna be up, and we're gonna cut that little bit of wane down there off. I got a 1/2 inch left. All right, I got the last side cut. I'm coming looking at it just like you. There's the wane. It looks like, yep, looks like we got all of it. If there's any there, it's very, very little. Yes, there's juvenile wood on there, but well, it ain't a lot. We can do about it. It's a pretty dang square post. The other thing about cutting like this, rotating and cutting, is you're relieving the stress out of this post or beam. You do not want to come in here and say it's an ideal log and it's perfectly round and whatever. You know, it's 12 inches on this end and it's 14 on that end down, 12 on this end, 14 down there. You don't want to come in here and cut this thing down to 10.5 inches, flip it 100, you know, then flip it up, cut it 10.5, and then flip it and cut it to 8, and flip it, cut it to 8. Because if you do that, I don't know why it does it, but it will make your post and beams bend and crook because of the stress in them. But if you'll take and you'll cut a couple inches off each side, 2, 3, whatever, you know, some of them I had 4 cuts, but it was really like 2 good cuts. And then you'll go back and you'll cut a 1/2 inch or 1 inch off of your other sides. Them sun guns will be straight and will stay straight. I don't know why, the physics and all, but it'll do it. But by George, we got us another $112 post or beam right here. Here's this one. The other thing, if you got a LT40, you flip your toe boards up, put your back stops up. You can take your pallet forks, stick it in there and pick it up and tote it over here. I'll show you this other beam I just sawed right before this one. That beam took me probably an hour videoing and all that. And this one here, it probably took me 20 minutes or so. It's a pretty good looking one there. About like these pines. These pines have been sawed for like 3 weeks. The guy's about to make me mad. He said he needed them. He called me on like Thursday and said, oh, I need them by next Wednesday. I called him Monday and he was like, I'll try to get them this week. Well, I'm fixing to list them for sale. But got the center on the pith on that. They look pretty good. I cut that one off and it got hung up down there whenever I cut. So I sort of jagged up on that one. But as you can tell, there's some knots. Knots really ain't gonna hurt nothing. I mean, it's white oak. Ain't much I can do about it. Like I said, anyways, that's about as good of white oak as you can get from a logger around here. I mean, if somebody wanted something super clear, I could probably get a hold of somebody and I'd be like, for that post right there, if you'll pay me $250, I can get you one that's whiskey barrel stave, you know, condition good, clean. So that one's got a little check going up it right there, but again, ain't much I can do about it. I cut them long. He only needed them 12, and they're like 12.6 or something like that. So it's all good. Well, I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm fixing to get these off. I got to get my slabs off and clean up. Buddy and his father-in-law is supposed to bring in a trailer load of white oak tomorrow to saw for flooring, trailer flooring. Who knows about his father-in-law? He may bring 3 logs. He may bring 20 logs. You never know with him. Anyways, I'll be back with another video in another day.